SupoEntertainment.com presents Brand Sharks.
Chapter 5, Author Phil Friedrich. Title, The Gift of Expectations.
Read by the co-author, Mike Duffy.
Chapter 5, The Gift of Expectations by Phil Friedrich. To reach your true potential, you have to consistently grow. It is through this process of perpetual growth and development that you will find you are propelled to level up on both a personal and a professional level. When we were growing up, even if we didn't realize that at the time, parents, teachers, grandparents, and coaches already had expectations for us. Some we appreciated as they helped us achieve our goals, while others were placed on us without our knowledge or consent. High expectations never seem like a blessing to me. Honestly, it took me a long time to come to appreciate them. My parents certainly had high expectations for me. I was expected to get all A's in school. Once, after not getting an A, my dad asked me, "Were you capable of an A?" "Yes," I responded dejectedly. In that moment, I was not upset with my dad. I was truly upset with myself. I was capable of getting that A if only I'd applied myself and put forth the effort, and I knew that. At that moment, it clicked. If I am capable of it, then why wouldn't I do it? I had to reflect and ponder that. Was I lazy? Did I lose track of where I was at with my grade, or was it simply not a priority for me? With expectations, what expectations do you have of yourself? We will rise to our own expectations and fall to what we will tolerate. Sean Pete, the founder of Deck Leadership, had a similar story. One day he was driving home from a hockey tournament when his dad told him, "I will support you in whatever you do, but I need to see max effort, and I did not see that from you today." He decided then that he didn't ever want to feel that way again or disappoint the people he cared about. Are you holding yourself to high enough expectations? If you're like me, you've had moments when you told yourself the bare minimum would suffice. The long-term impact of that is we teach ourselves how to get by doing just enough. If you let yourself slack in some areas of your life, it is inevitable you will do so in others. In order to succeed in your endeavors and continue to grow, your expectations need to grow as well. You have to hold yourself to high standards and stop settling for good enough. Ayanna Van Zandt said, "The way we do one thing is the way we do everything." In other words, if you hold yourself to high standards in some areas but not in others, one of the two things may be occurring. You are not aware of the benefits that high expectations of life can bring. You have a limiting belief that you can't accomplish what you want to, so you lower your expectations from what you want to what you think is reasonable. If you align with the former, I am glad you are reading this. However, if you relate to the latter, then I hope this is a wake-up call. Why settle for only what you believe is reasonable when you can accomplish so much more? When I started in the financial planning industry, I had 0 clients. I have built my business and my brand from nothing, and it all started with setting expectations for myself and then taking the action needed in order to meet or to exceed those expectations. I knew objectively that if I set up 60 meetings a month or more and introduced myself to at least 80 prospective clients within the same time frame, I would meet my business goals for the month. That sounds simple, and frankly, it is pretty simple. The concept of setting those expectations and meeting them was straightforward. The problem was, as simple as it seemed, meeting my goals was not easy. When I began my financial planning career, many people wondered if I knew what I was doing because I was only 19. I quickly realized that I needed to find a way to turn this perceived negative aspect into a positive attribute. As Malcolm Gladwell proposed in the book, David and Goliath, oftentimes our perceived disadvantage is actually an advantage. I thought to myself, how can my young age and lack of experience be helpful? It became apparent that most people work with an advisor who is at the same age they are or older. This is great while both the client and their advisor are still working, but if the advisor retires and the client is still working, well, who would they trust to manage their accounts? Would you feel comfortable trusting your net worth to someone you just met after years of working with the same advisor? This was the edge I found in the industry in the beginning of my professional brand. Many clients approaching retirement saw the benefits I offered and chose to work with me so that I would be the one to assist them through their retirement and beyond. One thing to keep in mind while we were striving to meet expectations is that we are not solely defined by the outcome of an event. Have you ever felt let down when you didn't meet somebody's expectations? Have you been disappointed in yourself when you didn't meet your own expectations? When this happens, it is an opportunity to dig in and make growth a priority. The outcome of one specific endeavor or goal is not the most important part of your growth, but what you gain from the experience makes all the difference. Were you growing as a person, developing your brand and getting better at your trade? If so, then you have not failed. Meeting expectations brings temporary joy, but long-term joy comes from becoming the best version of yourself along the way and realizing that you were capable of more than you ever thought possible. Many times I've looked back and said, wow, look how far I have come and how much I have developed. What I used to expect from myself is no longer challenging. At that moment, it is time to create new expectations that match your new level of growth. Our expectations and standards should go up as our skills, resources, and abilities increase. When we fall short of expectations, either from ourselves or others, it is important to realize that we can always learn from the situation. My friend Todd Dixon often speaks about the futility of trying to be perfect. We are human and we will falter. We need to understand and comprehend the idea of grace. It isn't a free pass to do whatever we want, whenever we want, but it does mean that when we slip up, no matter how big or small, we should practice forgiveness and grace. 2 Corinthians 12:9 reads, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." English Standard Version. Some of the best advice on how to model our lives and expectations comes from the Bible. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God and what is good and acceptable and perfect. Romans 12:2, English Standard Version. Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. Colossians 3:23. If we work only to please others and lose focus of what God desires for us, we may set goals that are not designed to help us live our best lives. At times, this can make us feel worse about ourselves and our endeavors and stunt our growth rather than promote it. Life is not about comparing our accomplishments to those of others. Start with meeting the expectations you know you are capable of. When we keep the promises we make to ourselves, our confidence grows. Walking up when you say you will, waking up when you say you will, or working out even when you don't want to are good examples of this, and both instill confidence. Instead of setting the expectation to become a bodybuilder because you saw it on social media, start with the baby steps that will lead to a healthier, more physically active lifestyle. So why is confidence important? For one thing, confidence draws people in. This is true in all aspects of life, including businesses. Whatever brand you decide to build for yourself within your career and personal life, having the confidence to back it up is crucial. As your confidence grows, our belief in our ability to succeed increases as well, which allows us to push the boundary of our expectations. It also allows us to hold higher standards for others in our lives. Motivational speaker Jim Rohn famously said, "We are the average of the 5 closest people in our lives." The people you surround yourself with should be encouraging you to accomplish more, not making you compromise on your goals and expectations of yourself. There was a phase in my life when I spent time with people that only made me comfortable. As Craig Groeschel says, you can have comfort or you can have growth, but you can't have both. If you find yourself at the beginning of your journey to success, you need to ask yourself, how would the person I want to be accomplish what I am about to do? You may need to make changes regarding the people you spend time with or switch up your daily routine to reflect a more constructive, healthy lifestyle. If you focus on the actions you need to take to reach the next level, you will find that your expectations naturally change to match those higher standards. If you want to start increasing your expectations of yourself, consider taking on one or more of these challenges. Change the mindset of, we make enough to pay our bills, to, I want to make my family's financial future everything I wish I had. Change, I am happy that I'm only 5 minutes late. Change, I am happy that I'm only 5 minutes late, to I am always on time, typically 5 minutes early. Change, settling for I'm a good reader, to I read 4 books a month and I love helping my kids with their homework. As you get older, you begin to create your own expectations for yourself and decide the standards you hold for the people you surround yourself with. When it comes to my circle of friends, I call once a week or once every other week. My expectation of them is that they pick up, call me back, or text me. I understand busy schedules. However, if they can't reach back back out in a reasonable time frame, that means I'm not a high priority to them and I need to raise the standards I hold my closest friends to. I firmly believe that the most frustration between spouses, family members, partners, colleagues, coaches, and players stem from the unmet expectations. The trouble with expectations is that they're rarely communicated. We all have them, but often we fail to communicate them to people around us. Imagine we were playing a game of Monopoly. If I communicate all the rules and player expectations prior to the first roll of the dice, then you begin with a well-rounded idea of what is going to happen. As long as we play the entire game based on those rules, whether you win or lose, you will feel that the game has been played fairly. On the other hand, imagine that we start the game of Monopoly without going over the rules. Maybe you've never played before, or you might even have a totally different idea of how to play the game than I do. When we reach a point of contention and disagree about how a rule should be implemented or whether a rule exists at all, you may become frustrated with me. The consistent communication of expectations to our teams, family, friends, business associates, or others who are important to us is a powerful way to strengthen and deepen relationships via the development of trust. This is vastly more effective when those expectations are routinely met or exceeded. As I started my financial planning practice, specific production goals were set for new advisors. Achieving the goals in the first 6 months placed the advisor in the top 3%. Achieving the goals in the second 6 months placed the advisor in the top 1% of all advisors. Having specific goals and knowing how other new advisors had achieved them helped me understand exactly what I needed to do to hit those metrics. Those goals provided me with a clear set of expectations that helped me focus and accomplish or exceed all of those goals set for me. As a former athlete, I recognize that the coaches I most appreciated were the ones who had set high expectations, held me accountable, and pushed me forward. When each player held each other to the same high standards of giving it their best, our highest level of play came next. Now, as a high-performing athlete or business person, you may feel that you are often held to an unfair standard. Remember that this is not because you're being treated unfairly, but because somebody knows you are capable of more. By realizing your potential and distributing that talent and ambition to whatever project is at hand, you can bring the rest of the team with you and help them adjust their expectations of themselves as well. It is hard to hold others to high standards because it requires us to push them out of their comfort zone. However, there is no feeling better than when someone who did not believe something was possible hits their goal and says, "Thank you." I have coached college basketball and financial professionals, and I know from experience that the kind words, cards, and hugs from mentees who have achieved new heights is worth all the difficult conversations endured in pursuit of their goals. I was mentoring a new advisor in our firm, and right off the bat, I was not sure how much he would be able to succeed in the business, but I bought in and wanted to give him everything I had. He had some limiting beliefs based on his background, so I asked him to cast a vision for what he really wanted. And then we put weekly expectations in place to hit his goals. He had many ups and downs in his first year, but ended up finishing with production that placed him in the top 3% of advisors in the company. Amazing. Leaders help others see what's possible. Oftentimes, it's before that person sees or believes for themselves that they're capable of accomplishing. Casting a vision for life is important. Once a vision is cast, it is important to develop a series of expectations and necessary actions to achieve that vision. Marshall Goldsmith wrote, "What got you here oftentimes will not get you there." In other words, the things you have expected of yourself in the past can get you to a certain point, but new and higher expectations must be established if you want to get to the next level. In order to reach my full potential, I kept striving for that next level. I have built my personal and professional brand around a few more concepts: expectations, execution, excellence, and an extension growth mindset. When I meet a new potential client in the first meeting, I always ask, "What would your expectations of me be if I became your financial planner?" I ask this to make sure that I can not only live up to their expectations, but exceed them to the best of my ability. I also think this to ensure that I know what is most important to them so I can execute my services in a way that prioritizes their individual needs. Additionally, I make sure to communicate my client expectations and make sure they are on board. Establishing a mutual understanding of expectations and priorities is crucial in making sure that their client experience is one that exudes excellence. Keeping our promises to ourselves is the fastest way to increase our confidence. Are you a person of integrity? If so, that means you do what you say you're going to do. If you tell a friend that you went to the gym and you did not, it will not impact them, but it will not impact your health goals and confidence. Matthew McConaughey talks about the truths that are only between God and us. No one else will find out about them. They can create doubt inside our minds about ourselves. As Tim Grover has mentioned, there is a dark side to those who reach the pinnacle of their industry. A hard lesson for me is saying no to something I want, so I can say yes to what I want most. The dark side can be your relentless pursuit of keeping your promises to yourself and living up to the expectations you had for yourself. Many in your close circle will not understand this, and that is okay. High achievers do what others are not willing to consistently do. As Inky Johnson said, I will stay committed to what I said I would do long after the mood I said it in has passed. This is important to remember because when you're having a tough day and are wanting to revert to your old expectations, you will need to remind yourself to stay true to your new expectations. In the military, they have a saying, no one wants to die, but everyone wants to go to heaven. Similarly, everyone wants a great end result in life, but few are willing to hold themselves to their expectations, make sacrifices, and do the work required to reach their goal. It does occasionally happen that people have unrealistic expectations of you. This can be draining if they're impossible to meet, or you just aren't in a place to live up to them at that time. If a boss expects you to grow sales tenfold in a short amount of time, and you know based on factual research that is not possible, your concerns need to be communicated. A good rule of thumb for avoiding disagreement or unmet expectations is to never agree to anything that is impossible to achieve. These unrealistic expectations could come from anyone, including a significant other or even your child. Be honest with yourself about whether what is being asked of you is possible or if you are simply not willing to adapt and raise the bar. I've seen amazing relationships form, and when one partner required the other to expect more from themselves and for their relationship, both lives improved. One of my friends was not in great physical shape when he met his future wife. She enjoyed working out and encouraged him to work out with her periodically. She didn't radically change his diet or force him to work out, but she asked him to come to the gym with her sometimes. This allowed him to get started through baby steps, and he now is in the best shape of his life. Physical health was something that was important to her, and rather than put unrealistic expectations on him to change everything at once, she gave him the opportunity to get started in small ways and ultimately succeed. As you begin your journey of setting expectations and knocking them out of the park, make sure to celebrate the small wins along the way. Remember that the minor victories are important, and the person you are evolving into on the way to your end goals is the real win. When we have clear-cut expectations of who we would like to become, we can celebrate our pursuit of becoming that person as opposed to waiting on an end goal. I have a desire to be a well-trusted financial advisor. What expectations should I have of myself to hit that goal? Show up prepared at all times. Be well-educated and well-informed. Treat clients like they are family. Care as much about their future as they do. Bring unique ideas that they would not be familiar with otherwise. Utilize my brand of exceeding expectations to create a unique client experience. I expect myself to get some type of workout in daily to keep me in shape for a long, healthy life and to find a spouse. I expect myself to get up early so I can do all the things for my business that I need to do to deliver a great experience for our clients. I expect that I will read my Bible daily and reflect on what it means to me. I expect myself to attend social events, to meet new people, and continue to make connections with great people. I have a 5-year vision that I rewrite annually and try to constantly work toward. It is my driving force in my daily life and a reminder of the expectations that I hold for myself. I encourage you to take the time to work on yourself and your goals. Once you know what your ultimate goals are, you can set expectations that will help you break them down step by step and ultimately smash them. This is the first step in creating the life you have always wanted and building a brand that will stand up to scrutiny. Live your life by design, not by choice. And that was Phil Friedrich. About Phil. There's his picture on the back. Thank you for listening to Chapter 5 of Brand Sharks.
Go follow Phil Friedrich on Instagram at PhilTheCup10. That's at PhilTheCup10.